Hi, thanks for joining us for this back to school workshop on the new collaboration between two giants in STEAM education, ARCKIT and SAM Labs. Our objectives for the workshop today are an introduction to the collaboration and to me, Joel. We're going to get into what comes with the actual ARC kit, although that kit is not required to teach the ARC kit unit. We're going to explore that unit and the resources that come along with it. We'll zoom in to a sample lesson and do some coding together, and then talk about best practices for getting started. A little bit more about myself. I was a classroom teacher for 8 years in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I loved focusing on project-based learning and incorporating STEAM and coding into students' projects. I also co-founded an app with a friend of mine, so it was a natural thing to bring those two passions together and join up with Sam Labs, which I did almost 2 years ago. Now I'm based in Oakland, California, with my basset hound named Wizard. And hey, wait a minute, Wizard, you're not supposed to be on there. Wizard just likes to sneak in to everything that I do so everybody can see her silly face. Get out of there, Wizard. But that's just me. I'm over here in the Pacific Northwest, supporting Northern California, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. But I'd love you to introduce you to the rest of our wonderful Sam Labs customer success team. And now is a great opportunity to scan one of these QR codes so you know the best way to get in touch with the CSM in your region. We've got Melinda, the great Melinda in the Southwest, the wonderful Alyssa covering the Midwest, the stupendous Lauren up in the Northeast, and our fearless leader right now, Mackenzie, is covering the Southeast while we hire a new person for that region. So please do scan the QR code to get more details about meeting with the rep in your region. Let's get into the ARCKit Sam Labs collab. This collaboration features, of course, the powerful Sam Labs blocks that you may already be familiar with. They connect via Bluetooth to the coding platforms, which you can see there in the middle. They are available as a web on your web browser. They're also available as iOS and Android apps, and there's three different coding levels: flow-based coding, which is what we'll be looking at today, block-based coding, and then SAM script, which brings block-based and script-based coding together. The curriculum design of these lessons is really, really cool. There's lots of detail in the standards aligned lesson plans. There's plenty of resources for you and your students. And then there's build instructions for each project. And this is all aligned to K-8 STEAM and CTE frameworks. At Sam Labs, we're all about preparing students to pursue CTE pathways in high school, college, and beyond. And ARCKit is on the same page, so we were so happy to collaborate with them to bring you this sustainable architecture unit. A little bit more about those three coding platforms I mentioned. Uh, the ARCKit unit focuses mainly on SAM space, the flow-based coding, where students drag and drop inputs, outputs, and behaviors represented by pictures and make onto the coding workspace and make connections between those inputs, outputs, and behaviors. It's a great way to show the flow of information and for students to learn foundational concepts of coding that will prepare them for block coding in SAM Blockly. As you can see in the middle there, there's menus of different blocks that allow students to begin encountering the syntax of code and begin, bringing in words to describe their system rather than just pictures. In SAM script, students can toggle between the block code that they create and JavaScript or Python, so they can see what their code looks like in one of those real coding languages, and even continue to build on and code in JavaScript or Python. Let's open up the ARCKit Smart Design Pack and see what's inside. So for this unit, we are using the Go Eco kit from ARCKit. And the hardware bundle that we're offering is a set of 10 ARCKit Go Eco kits. These include 4 alternative designs with building instructions. So this is not just, your students aren't all going to be building the same home. They've got some choices. They've got some alternate designs to make their home a place that they would truly want to live. There's 30 pop-outs, including furniture, figurines, renewable energy resources. Of course, your students are going to love decorating their home and adding these pop-outs to the different rooms. There's also reusable decals with included online printables to further decorate and customize their homes. And included in the kit is over 115 architectural components that students will be putting together. This is designed to be used in small groups of 2 to 3 students alongside the Sam Labs hardware, which the kit is specifically designed to incorporate. That Sam Labs hardware might look a little bit like this. For 6-8 specifically, well, we've got the Steam course kit, which has 10 trays for 10 student groups. Each tray has the wheels, car chassis, and DC motors needed to build the car, along with RGB LED block and light sensor block. And then the Steam Plus kit seen here, specifically designed for grades 6 through 8, includes microbits, servo motors, proximity sensors, and pressure sensors, all of which can be incorporated in the ARCKit Go Eco kit. Of course, before using those great Sam Labs blocks, of which I have the motor block right here, the DC motor block, they do need to be charged. The first time that you charge them, it's going to take about 3 hours, but after that, it will take 45 minutes for a full charge, and the battery life is 8 hours. Hopefully you have access to a charging station. Makes charging all of the blocks in the kit a whole lot easier. And we do encourage you to have student roles for charging the blocks, but make sure you really go over that process with your students before having them plug in the blocks to charge them, because the charging ports can be fragile. But of course, if you have a warranty included with your subscription, all blocks are covered under warranty, and if one does happen to break, please submit a replacement request and we will send you new blocks. Let's explore the ARCKit curriculum. In order to find the ARCKit curriculum, you can go to our Content Hub and filter by course. One of the options under course is the ARCKit, and that will display all 10 ARCKit lessons. These are designed for grades 3 through 8, so there are some modifications included in the lesson plans for you to be able to deliver these lessons for your specific students and their grade level. And these lessons do use both Sam Space and Sam Blockly or script. The ARCKit Go Eco unit, as I mentioned, has 10 lessons. Automated ceiling fan, automated lighting, plant growth system, sunlight and privacy shade, automatic sprinkler system, outdoor lighting and security, electric vehicle charging station, wind turbine, solar panels, and a capstone project. These projects are so great because they're going to look a little bit different for each of your students. Their homes are going to look a little bit different, and the way they build their projects and incorporate them into their home is going to be very exciting because there's a lot of personalization involved. The resources that come with each lesson include a design workbook, of course, that detailed standards-aligned lesson plan that you've come to expect from Sam Labs, and similarly, the great slide deck that is a hallmark of Sam Labs resources. That slide deck is ready to go skimming through it is a great way to understand the lesson before you present and deliver it to your students. And of course, the step-by-step code along. I find it really helpful to have these printed out and even laminated when teaching a lesson. That way, if one student or one group needs a bit more support in their build, they can simply have that step-by-step code along right alongside them, and that leaves you free to support other student groups rather than going through the step-by-step with that particular group. There's some additional resources included in these ARCKit lessons and in this unit overall. There's a scope and sequence with more details such as which coding platform each lesson uses, and a short description of each lesson. That design workbook I mentioned is going to be a great artifact for students to bring from this unit, and it will make giving them a score a whole lot easier. Also, a great thing to have on hand to present at back to school nights, parent teacher conferences, anytime that you're connecting with families. Some lessons are going to have additional printables that go along with that lesson. The maker task cards is always a great resource to incorporate with any unit as an extension or to incorporate it within the unit. There's going to be this resource called ARCKIT Textures. A little tricky to say, but I got it pretty well there. And that is going to be something that they can incorporate in their home build. A designer's dictionary, another great resource to print out and have on hand, go through with the class. A prototyping guide that's going to be very helpful as students continue to add on to their build. Some sample building guides to give them some ideas, and a teacher FAQ guide. Let's get right into a sample lesson and do some coding together. So this is the first lesson in the unit, and it's an automated ceiling fan. I'm over here in sunny Oakland, California, where it's about 80 degrees today, and I wish I had one of these in my home because it's getting a little hot in here. And that automated ceiling fan would be able to sense the temperature and change the rotation speed of the fan based on what temperature it is outside. Now, of course, for our purposes, we're going to be using the heat sensor block and the DC motor block along with the wheel, which you could attach some paper fan blades to for our automated ceiling fan. So as I go through this slide deck, these are the things that are going to be the resource that you will use to engage your students. And it being the first lesson in the unit, we're going to think about the essential question for the whole unit. How can smart technology and design make buildings more sustainable and improve how we live? So throughout the 10 lessons, students will be answering that question for themselves. So what is going to be the benefit and limitations for each room that we might put this automated ceiling fan in? This is a great opportunity for small group turn and talk discussion. Students may have encountered automated ceiling fans or AC systems before, and it's a great activation for them to discuss their prior knowledge and what they think about placement for their completed automated ceiling fan. There will be some additional discussion about what makes this fan different, when the fan knows to turn on or off, and then they're going to do some work in their design workbook while chatting with their partner. And then we get into it. We're going to use Sam's space for this lesson to create an automated ceiling fan. It's going to adjust its speed based on the temperature detected by the heat sensor. Here is a quick view of the step-by-step guide to build the starting point system. And then there's some additional behavior blocks you can see on top of that completed system, above that completed system, that students might use to modify their system so it fits with their home and their design. And we'll get back into that system a bit later, and I'll show you the way that I created it and how to pair it with the blocks. Here's a bit more detail on that step-by-step code along. These are the steps that I'll be following to build this automated ceiling fan. And then as students build, there's some probing questions to guide them in their exploration. If they're using that orange filter block that we see in the bottom left of this illustration, what would the other filter blocks be set to represent the temperature of the room? The number block represents the fan's speed. Do students want that to stay the same or change based on the temperature detected? And then using the blocks already connected, how should they connect the remaining blocks? Some tips and tricks as after students build their system on SAM Space for incorporating it within their home build. One thing we do recommend is using double-sided glue dots or sliding a piece of card stick underneath the silicone case of your SAM block before applying hot glue. And to be specific here, many of the SAM Labs blocks come in a Lego connector housing, which you can see here. What you would need to do is separate the block from the Lego connector housing and attach the piece of cardstock to the underneath the silicone case, which you can kind of see on the edge there. That's going to allow you to safely adhere the block to your ARCKit model or the other maker materials that you're using without damaging the block. Using cardstock or other maker materials to create the blades for the ceiling fan is going to be a great way to add detail to this project. And if the model is to go inside a room, the students are going to need to think about how the blades are going to fit, how the fan is going to fit inside that room, because each room is a little bit different. And you do not need to have built your entire ARCKit home in order to do this first lesson. Only one room is needed. And one thing to note with this lesson and throughout the unit, this build will have to be disassembled after the session. So, students may want to keep track of where they put their different builds and which room of their home, or take a photograph or other documentation so they can remember for the next class session. Some other probing questions down here at the bottom. This is where I think students really get into the design engineering process. When things go wrong, if something isn't fitting or staying in place, what materials or tools in the classroom or bringing in new materials and tools could they use to fix it? And then if something really isn't working, it's just not turning out the way that you thought, how could you pivot the idea without completely throwing it out and starting over from scratch? And then also thinking about aesthetics. I mean, students are going to just love designing their home to their specifications. So while designing something like an automated ceiling fan, where is going to be the best place to put it so that it's both functional for the home, moving air around and ventilating the entire home, and also aesthetically pleasing and really making their space one that they would want to live in. So let's take a look at a sample of today's build. We can see there that this automated ceiling fan was actually placed kind of outside and in between the two structures that are part of the home. So moving air around as somebody travels from one area of the home together, and just one of those nice outdoor ceiling fans with some great green and white striped cardstock on there to give it the look of one of those outdoor fans that you might find in a place like Oakland, California. This is just a sample. It's just for inspiration of how a system can be smart, efficient, well integrated into the building, and aesthetically pleasing. And again, it does not need to be a part of the whole structure. A single room or small section is enough as long as students can test out their automated ceiling fan system effectively. So it is a great place to pause. If you were building your home, you were incorporating the automated fan system into your home. What parts of this prototype would you want to include or change in your own build? Would you put it outside as well, or would you incorporate it into inside one of the rooms? There's built-in opportunities for extension in each of these lessons. So for the automated fan lesson, here's a couple of options. So typically fans spin counterclockwise in the summer and clockwise in the winter. So students can modify their system so it adjusts its direction automatically. They can also add in time-based conditions, modifying the code so that the fan turns off automatically, let's say if you don't want to keep it running all night. Before we get into some best practices for implementation with the ARCKit Sam Labs collaboration, I do want to switch over to Sam Studio, where you can get a view of the automated fan system that I built. So here I have my heat sensor block right now, just virtual and being controlled by the virtual slider. And what the system is telling is that if the temperature is greater than or equal to 75, we do want to turn the DC motor block on and get that fan spinning. And additionally, if the temperature is between 76 and 79 degrees, we're going to set the speed of that fan to 18. So let's get that temperature up over 75. As you can see, we get it in that filter range, and that DC motor starts spinning pretty lazily, right? A fan, we don't want the fan to just start going 100 right away and blow all the papers and things we have on our desk off. We want to get that fan set at a realistic speed for a fan, especially inside this model home. So now that we've got our system built, let's connect the blocks and see how it works with the physical hardware blocks. First, I'll connect that heat sensor, of course, by looking on the back, finding the pairing ID, which I hope you've labeled all your blocks with. It makes it so much easier when students are pairing their blocks alongside others. If I enter that pairing ID, this is the only block that's going to appear in my Bluetooth menu. As I turn it on, it lights up red, and I find the temperature in the Bluetooth temperature block. But it's called temperature block, but this is the heat sensor block, and now I've got it connected. I'll do the same with the DC motor block after I attach my wheel to it by lining it up with the rotor on the motor, gently pressing it down. So there's a big gap in between the wheel and the motor. Make sure your students know not to just jam it down all the way because it can get stuck. And then again, I'll look at that pairing ID on the back, enter that pairing ID so I can make sure that this will be the only block that appears in my Bluetooth pairing menu. I've turned the block on, it's lit up red. I'll choose the DC motor block. And of course, that red light on the block is going to change to blue once the DC motor pairs. All right, let's see what the heat sensor is sensing right now. Okay, looks like it's not unbelievably, it's not quite hot enough for the. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting to read. Not quite hot enough in this room for the fan to be turning on. So this is where we prototype. This is where we iterate. And for my automated fan system, I'm going to have to make an adjustment here of the filter value. So since it was only sensing about 64 heat when I put my finger on it, I'm going to go ahead and make the filter values a bit lower because it is hot in this room. I'm telling you, people. I'm going to bring it down from like 30 to 50, and let's see how we're doing with that. Okay, it's still not turning on. Let's see what value we're getting here when we click on it. No, let's widen the filter a little bit. Let's bring it down all the way to 4 and then up to 67. And all right, now we've got some motion, everyone. This heat sensor may not be as sensitive as it needs to be to detect the actual temperature in the room. So this is a great thing to keep in mind as students build this system, test out their system, and iterate on their prototype. But now I've got the heat sensor sensing some heat in this hot room, and I've got my automated fan spinning at a nice slow 18 to cool that room off. And of course, when students are finished building their smart ceiling fan or automated ceiling fan, all they need to do is press this back arrow It will take them back to the projects page where their project will save automatically to the cloud. And now both of those blocks have turned red again. They are disconnected from Sam's space and they will turn off automatically in about 30 seconds. Let's talk about some best practices to get started. So each lesson includes a downloadable starter code and sample code. This might be something that you consider using with your class if you have more limited time. And you know, one thing you could do is break the lesson into two parts. But if your time is even more limited than that, you may want students to start with a sample system similar to the one that I was just showing on the screen. So in that case, from the scope and sequence, you can download those starter codes or sample codes and have students import them into their SAM Studio. And there's some detail on exactly how to do that with your project on Google Drive there. And of course, more resources on our resource hub on how to help students import their projects. Some further tips, printing out or allowing students to choose and print those ARCKit textures. Hey, I got it again. And some of those additional printables are great things to have on hand so they can customize their builds further. The maker task cards are great to have on hand. Those are going to be great for open-ended exploration, and they're also great extensions. If a student happens to finish early, or they want to keep going, they have an idea and want to keep going, the maker task cards for ARCKit are great for there. Definitely be sure to check out the teacher FAQ guide before you get started. And if you have any specific questions, they may be answered there. There's also some great tips and opportunities for extension and differentiation. You know, third grade is going to look a lot different than eighth grade with this unit. So that's all included in the resources. And really encouraging iteration, like I was just doing with my building my code by having students refine and redesign prototypes based on the feedback from others in their group or other groups, and set new goals based on that feedback is a great way to encourage collaboration and have students extend their thinking. And then also promoting collaboration by asking students to combine their systems to form a larger model. You're going to have 10 homes in your class here. That could be a neighborhood. That could be a cul-de-sac. That could be a school. Whatever they can imagine. You can bring these systems together to form a larger model once they are built and after that culminating event. We are really excited about the ARC kit. Me and the whole team, our great curriculum developer, Jen, worked really hard on designing this unit. We've already seen some teachers start to use it with great success. I just think, from my work with students, first, third, fourth graders, they always want to design and build a home, whether that be drawing it, making one out of materials. It is just a perennial fascination for children. So I believe this unit is going to be huge for that. And then bringing in the sustainability, of the different projects that you're incorporating is really going to not only show students the possibilities within this realm of technology, but also point the way towards career and industry exploration with all of these new sustainable jobs, green jobs, and industries becoming more prominent and successful. So we're really looking forward to supporting you in implementing this unit and supporting you as you continue to experiment and refine with it. And in order to do that, a great way to check in with us, if you have any questions, if you'd like to hear from educators across the country doing similar things, please join us at our weekly office hours. It's just a great place to connect, ask questions, and build with other Samsters. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I host one of the ones on Tuesdays. I would love to see you there, and you can register by going to that link at the bottom, or going to the resource hub if you happen to have that bookmarked, and there's a link there as well. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Thanks for coding along with us today. Please do connect with us on social media, sign up for our newsletter, visit our website, and if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out directly to me at joel.reber@samlabs.com, or to just customer success at samlabs.com, or of course, one of our other wonderful team members who I showed you in the beginning of this presentation. All right, it's now time for me to end the recording so I can go on and tell our live participants a bit more about the Root robot, of which they will be receiving a free one, and the whole Undersea Coding Adventure Pack as well. So thanks again for everyone that joined us on the replay. So happy to introduce this ARCKit and Sam Labs collaboration to you all, and I'm so excited to hear about how you all are using it with your students. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.